From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life with For the People. Whatever your source of stress or strife, For the People is there.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you to this Friday's edition of For the People on September the 22nd, 2017. We had announced on our Facebook page that Chuck Harder is going to be hosting, and he is. He's coming up. And he is talking about nursing homes and what every American should know about going into a nursing home. It's something that Chuck never anticipated. I don't think that he would be in a nursing home himself, but unfortunately is bedridden in Gainesville, Florida. Does not like it very much. But he did a program back in 2006 that's still very much relevant for today, and I think that you're going to enjoy today's broadcast. But it is definitely a program that you should listen to. And if you know anybody that's in nursing home, things you should think about, saving, preparing yourself, because we're all getting older, and that reality is probably a whole lot closer than most people care to talk about. But it was one of the issues that Chuck did talk about, and interesting enough, when I was doing some research on some archive programs, I literally stumbled upon it. When I heard that it was Zoran Basic, I knew exactly what that was and remember the program well. And here we go. Here's Chuck Harder from 2006. Chuck Harder, folks.
Hello, everybody. Chuck Harder, glad to be with you. On the line with me is Attorney Zoran Basic. Are you there, Counselor?
Absolutely.
Thank you for being with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Look, tell me I'm wrong, but could it be that someday almost 25% of the people in America could be in a nursing home? Have you looked at the numbers?
No, I look at the numbers daily, and the answer is it's uglier than that, actually.
Okay, tell me what the numbers look like.
They're more like, and they're increasing because we're living longer, and so the problem that we're having is we're outliving our resources, and we're outliving some of our family occasionally. We've got a lot of seniors that are looking at issues about how to live and cover the care well after they may run out of resources.
This is frightening.
Yeah, it really is.
And nobody talks about it, do they?
Well, they don't talk about it that way. What they do is they use it as a fear tactic to sell things, which is not a good thing. But they don't talk about it in terms of what are we really going to do and how can we plan to cope with this. So they talk about it from the standpoint of motivating people to buy things, but they don't talk about it from the standpoint of really solving the issues.
Well, the first of all, I want you to know that I am currently I'm a guy who has been in the hospital a lot. Not because I wanted to be, but I had a major accident that put me in a wheelchair for 6 years. I'm pretty much out of the wheelchair, but I had all kinds of complications, like kidney and bladder infection, which
Sure.
people in wheelchairs get a lot.
Sure.
And just got out of the hospital, and Hospital A emergency room had me in there for 5.5 hours and put 3 bags of antibiotics in me by IV, and with a raging infection and nausea, gave me shot for nausea, sent me home at 5:30 in the morning, and I should have been admitted. And as it turned out, a week later, I was admitted to the hospital for a week, and they finally got rid of the kidney and bladder infection. And while they were at it, they infected my right arm because they didn't put my right arm on a board, and they stuck the IV in my elbow.
Sure.
And they infected my right arm. It started blowing up like a balloon. And my doctor put me in another hospital, where they actually wash their hands. And I had to have a central IV put in my neck. And after many, many bags of blood thinners and IV and you name it, they were able to save my right arm. I could have lost it. You know that.
absolutely, with all due respect to the medical community, and they do, some of them work really hard, and the people that are in those hospitals work really hard. The problem is, we live in a society where money drives everything. And unfortunately, when it comes to health care, the goal is to get you in and get you out as fast as they can. And the moment you're out of there, you stop costing them dollars. And unfortunately, that's not how it should be done, but that is how it's done. And we as consumers, and it's a real problem for all of us, you know, we tend to trust certain groups of people because we think, well, they're doctors, they should be doing this. But they're limited by what the insurance company is going to pay. They're limited by what the board of directors of the hospital say. The doctor has a tough time providing good care because of all of the different restrictions and limitations. And I'm certainly not a supporter of the medical community, but I also understand they generally are busting their butts, but they're having a tough time because we're working uphill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary because you know what? Had you not had good care, had you not been who you are and didn't have the family you had, and didn't have someone overseeing what, odds are you might have lost that arm, or odds are that infection when you went home could have gotten even worse and you could have stroked or something else could have happened. Bottom line is vigilance, family, and support becomes critical.
Well, now the question is fortunately I have Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is not cheap.
They're excellent.
And I have the $5,000 deductible deal, which means that that hurts.
Sure.
That hurts. But the problem of it is that who's going to pay for the $4,000 out of pocket and all the other bills coming in from hospital number 2 that saved my right arm? Who's going to pay for that?
Well, let's just go back for 1 second because you said something that most people keep thinking and keep forgetting. You have good coverage. That doesn't mean you're going to get good care because that coverage is used to pay the hospital.
That's right.
If the hospital can get you out of there for less dollars, they make more of a profit. So at the end of the day, even though you may have excellent coverage, there's a large part of this that has to do with how well the hospital actually provides the care and whether or not they're in a hurry to get you out because they get more bang for the buck if they get you out quicker because they still get paid the same dollar. So if they're going to get $1 for your care and it costs them 20 cents to take care of you or 40 cents depending on how long they keep you, they're going to want to keep you for the 20 cents worth because 80 cents is their profit at that point. So there's a profit margin in there that's constantly cutting into good health care. But that said, a lot of your listeners don't know there are benefits out there. There are benefits out there that are federal dollars that are available for people who need them. And they need to be looking at these other options. You've got Blue Shield, Blue Cross?
Yeah, let's do this. Mr. Zoran Basic, attorney at law, if you will stand by for 2 minutes, let's find out what the other options are right after this timeout. Hang on, please.
It's Share-a-thon, and that means it's time to help For the People stay on the air. Your giving keeps the freedom of the air a possibility. For the People is listener-supported, and only by its listeners are we able to bring you all the news each and every day with common sense, along with a conservative point of view. Help us be a voice of reason in a troubled world and make a donation today at forthepeopleshow.com. That's forthepeopleshow.com. It's your show, and we work hard to give you all the news and information that you need with commentary and insights you just don't get on the mainstream media. No fake news, just reality, so you can live your life in the know. Share-a-thon is your opportunity to get behind For the People. Give securely online at forthepeopleshow.com. It's Share-a-thon. Help For the People now at forthepeopleshow.com. Thanks for your support. Isn't it nice to hear the voice of Chuck Harder on the air, the man that sees tomorrow, that gave the interviews, and just the timeliness of the shows are timeless. More in the future. I need your help to make that happen. But we have archives of thousands of radio shows. And I'd love to spend the time getting them ready for broadcast and redistribution. And Chuck is Chuck. He's very special. And I know he's special to so many people that just love to hear his voice. And I am certain when you saw the announcement today that Chuck was going to be on the air, you got super excited and you tuned in to hear him. And you don't care if he's not live. It's you want to hear his voice because you learned something. He drew you in. He had that something so unique that very few hosts were able to have, but he paved the way for so many. Today I'm asking you to please join with me in our efforts here at For the People to be able to keep Chuck legacy alive. And like I said, we'll be going through the archives and in the future be doing so much more in that regard. I remember when we did the flashbacks, people really liked that. So we will have some very important announcements there. But if you've not made a donation for our share-a-thon, it's going on right now. You can make a donation at forthepeopleshow.com. All the best. May God bless.
Attorney Zoran Basic is with me, and he is an elder care attorney. You were talking about government programs that are out there for middle-class people that they don't know about. Can you just run with that ball?
Sure, that's correct. Here's what most of us don't realize. Most of us have some kind of acute coverage, some kind of hospital coverage. It'll be through some form of either Social Security, Medicare, etc. But what most listeners and most people don't know is it's the biggest bill you're going to face when you get ill, especially we're talking about all these elderly people coming into the age, is that they're going to go into a situation like they break a hip, they go to the hospital, they come out of the hospital stay may be covered, they go into a nursing home for rehabilitation, which may take 3 or 4 months or longer. And that nursing home is not covered by just about anybody. Medicare offers up 100 days, but almost no one ever gets a full 100 days. Most hospital coverage doesn't cover skilled nursing home stays. So what they don't know and they need to know is there are programs out there, including Medicaid, that will help pay these families costs in a nursing home, because that's going to be the cost that's really going to eat them up. It's going to be that $5,000 to $6,000 a month for the number of months that mom or dad or the loved one is going to be in that facility and doesn't know there are dollars there to help them with that.
Take me, for instance. I own a house and 2 old cars, and I got a few bucks in the bank. Are they going to drain all that and sell off the house first?
Do you have to be broke? The answer is no, but the system, the government doesn't tell you that. Here's the deal. If you're a couple, you're a husband and wife, and one of you has a horrible stroke or has a horrible break and you're in a nursing home, the system will allow the healthy couple, the healthy spouse, the wife, to keep the home, to keep cash in the bank, to keep income, keep the cars, and still get care for the husband. It's just that the system doesn't publicize it. You know, what you don't know you can't use, and therefore there's a way to save some dollars there.
What? Who do you ask?
Well, that's why we're doing the show today. But if you don't know, and many of your listeners are now becoming far more computer savvy, you go to Medicare.gov, you go to Medicaid.gov, you start looking at the sites that the government has out there but doesn't promote for general information that is available. But right now, if you and your wife had a problem and you had this dilemma that came out of this stay at the hospital and you went into a nursing home for 6 or 8 months, which would cost you $50,000, the answer is you can keep that home, you can keep the income, certainly at least $25,000 to $3,000 a month. You can keep about $100,000 in general funds, and you can still get benefits. And that doesn't include IRAs, annuities, 401ks, certain kinds of assets. So the fact of the matter is you don't have to be a pauper to get benefits, but people don't know that.
Who do you ask?
Well, you ask elder law lawyers in your community who do this for a living. You go to a lot of nonprofits that are designed to help with information and advice. You can go to Legal Aid, which is funded by the federal government to do exactly this task. You go to people like us on our website. It's free, nhscare.com, and we'll ship out whatever information you might need that we have available. The point is, there's a whole bed of information out there, but it's just not well publicized.
Okay, your website is?
nhscare.com, and it's only one of many that speak to Medicare, Medi-Cal, long-term care, insurance needs. What you have to be careful is not to go to a website that sells this stuff, but someone that will talk about it without selling you anything.
Yeah, well, if you're over 60, it's a little late in the game to buy insurance policy, isn't it?
Well, actually not. Surprisingly, I just discovered recently a lot of 75-year-olds right now are actually buying life insurance of all things, which I thought was kind of unusual and didn't know much about that till recently. Health insurance, pretty tough to get, but at 65, if you get your Social Security, you're going to get Medicare along with it anyway, and you can convert that to an HMO so you don't have to have a supplement to pay for. So the answer is no. At 60 or 55, if you have the wherewithal and you don't have insurance, you might still want to look at it. Or you might also be looking at long-term care insurance. The problem with that is it's very expensive, and it has its own limits. It still hasn't been well defined.
So the